Clay is easily bent, molded, and shaped by a potter before being refined in fire where it's hardened. Molded out of clay ourselves, God formed man of the dust of the ground. We are pottery, and God is the divine potter. Through his mercy and grace, he is able to reshape, remold, rebuild, and redeem us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Clay. This is a space for people to share their stories of how God has touched and transformed their lives with his goodness. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. So today we have with us our guest, Shaun, and Shaun is going to share his testimony about how God delivered him from alcoholism. So welcome to the show, Shaun.
Hey, Shaun.
Thank you very much. Hi. Good afternoon.
We're so glad to have you today. So can you first start off with just giving us a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I'm Shaun Ingram. I'm 44 years old. I grew up in St. Louis, and I grew up primarily with lots of kids in my neighborhood, and we would all run around and do stuff that young kids typically do. And then there came the day that my mom gave me the devastating news that I was adopted at a very young age.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was kind of the road bump for me. I think that kind of started to push me in the wrong direction.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was just it, but
How old were you when you found that out?
I was, I believe, 11 or 12 when my mom told me that. And my brothers were also present, who I'd grown up with already. I have a younger brother, Chad, and an older brother, Jonathan.
Oh,
And so, I mean, I still consider them my brothers, obviously. We did everything that brothers
of
do.
course.
But
Wow.
when they found that out, it kind of changed everything, the dynamic.
Oh, well, that's totally like earth-shattering to find that out at that age. I feel like that would really just shake you to your core and really just question your whole identity in general. That is
Yes,
wild.
exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I was pretty down, and I had some friends. Well, I'm doing the quotes with my fingers.
Right.
I had some friends that we would go to the Lake of the Ozarks frequently with their parents, and I was 12 years old. I still remember that, and I had just found out that I was adopted not too long previously, and we got on the boat and we were out there, and I believe his father had to use the restroom, so he got off the boat, and my friend proceeded to go into the refrigerator, and he grabbed a beer out of there, and he said, "Here, if you drink this before he gets back, you can have it." And I had never drank.
Oh my gosh.
But in my family, my biological father's an alcoholic. His father was an alcoholic. It's kind of a family trait.
Right.
And so that first beer I drank, I didn't drink the whole thing. I got sick. I actually got sick on the boat. And so when his father came back, he knew not only that I had drank one of his beers, but that it was me. So,
right. Oh my gosh.
So that didn't go over well. I think that might have been my last trip with them to the Lake of the Ozarks. I'm pretty sure that it was.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the start of it. That was my first beer, and I didn't like the taste. It was disgusting. But I did like the way it helped me to kind of just locate from reality. So
Sure.
So from that point on, and then, like I said, I was 12 years old. I just basically, people say, how were you able to drink at such a young age? You just go to friends' houses whose parents drink.
Right.
It's as easy as that.
That makes sense.
Right.
And that was like one of my keys, I think, to when I was younger, is if your parents didn't drink, you probably weren't my friend, kind of thing,
Oh, yeah.
So I just basically, for 23 years roughly, I drank pretty much every day, whether I was mad, happy, sad. You just give yourself an excuse to do it.
Right.
So I would drink daily, just to either take care of how I was feeling or forget how I was feeling, whatever it may be. I was trying to fill a void for years. with this, that, and the other. And, you know, I dabbled with marijuana and a little bit of the heavier stuff with coke, but I never messed with anything other than that. But those two alone could have took me down even more destructive path.
Yeah.
So I thank God that that didn't take place. I didn't get, you know, addicted or hooked on anything like that. But the alcohol for sure was controlling me. So.
Well, and alcohol is just such a big part of society. Like, it's such a big part of celebrating and just, you know, relaxing. So alcoholism to me is such a hard addiction to have because it's just kind of like food. It's always there.
Yeah, it's in your face everywhere that you go. Yeah, you can definitely get your hands on it easily, even as a kid, like you said. If your friends' parents drink, then it's not that hard to access that stuff. So it totally makes sense.
And they try to make it look so cool too, you know?
Right. Yeah, totally.
They make it look so cool in the commercials, like all these people are cool and he's cool and she's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's why that's not why I initially did it, but that is why a lot of people do, because I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I just did it because it was something to get me away from reality, basically. Cope. It was my new crutch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so that led me to 2 DWIs. Actually, God's providence in my life early on with that was when I was about 17. A friend of mine was driving us. I'm doing the quotes again with a friend of mine.
Right.
was driving us down the highway, and he had made a right onto a road that looked a little sketchy. And I said to him, you might want to slow down. He did do that. The road did end, and we went off the edge of a cliff, basically. Oh, and we went about 25, 30 feet down, landed on a steel beam. I didn't have a seatbelt on. The last word I would have said would have been a cuss word, so it would have been good. And both walked away without a scratch. So that was God's providence right there. He had a plan for me.
Wow,
so,
that in itself is a miracle. That is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
That you walked away from that totally unharmed.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was wild. You know, I think I might have got knocked out for a second. Not sure. I just remember there was a lot of dust from the airbags in the air, and there was his window on the driver's side was broke out. So we got out that way. And then I remember all the ambulance and everybody coming, and they were like, "Oh, you know, that was a Mazda 6. That's what saved your life. It was the car and the way it's designed." And back then, you know, I didn't know the Lord, so I obviously was just like, "Yeah, it's a great car. Yeah, you know, that just saved us."
Right. I'll always have Mazdas.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, when in reality, it was totally God's hand of protection over your life.
Yes,
100%.
Absolutely.
So you said that you weren't a believer at this point. So at what point did that change? Did you come to know Christ in the middle of your addiction, or, you know, at what point? Much
later, more towards the end.
Okay.
But, you know, the sad part about it all is that I was in church. My mom raised us in a Baptist church.
Okay.
Who actually had a great pastor.
Yeah.
He's passed now, but I will mention his name because he was great. Jerry Norris, excellent pastor. I honestly, I got to see him after I got saved and tell him that I did change my life. Thank God, because he talked till he was blue in the face as I grew up and did not listen. I was too angry.
Right.
Yeah, I was too angry to really pay attention. So, you know, you get the head knowledge, but the heart knowledge just isn't there. You're not really invested into what he's saying.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to make that point, because I just wanted to say to anybody that might listen to this that it is possible to grow up in the church and not believe in God and not know anything about it, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to say that before I got into I had gotten my second DWI, and I didn't really have the money to take care of, well, to be honest, I didn't really care to take care of it either.
Hey, Clay Nation, Jessica here, and I've got some exciting news for you. Now you can show off your love for Clay Podcast with our brand new merchandise collection. From cozy hoodies that wrap you in comfort during your podcast sessions to stylish mugs that hold your favorite beverage while you tune in, we've got something for everyone. And that's not all. Our exclusive t-shirts feature the inspiring Bible verse, Isaiah 64:8, that'll keep you motivated throughout your day. But wait, there's more. By purchasing our merchandise, you're just not getting cool items, you're also supporting Clay Podcast. Your love and enthusiasm keep us going. And now you can take a piece of the podcast with you wherever you go. So what are you waiting for? Head over to our website at www.claypodcastnetwork.com or follow us on Facebook at Clay Podcast and also on Instagram at Clay_podcast to check out the full collection and grab your favorites today. And always, thank you for being a part of our podcast journey and now our merchandise family. Remember, every purchase is a step towards more amazing podcast content coming your way. Stay tuned and God bless.
And it led to a warrant for my arrest. And basically, I was drunk, and I was down in the city. And here, this describe how drunk I was. Here comes this police officer. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I looked at him, probably like I was crazy, and said, "What are you doing?" And so basically that didn't go over well. And he asked me what my name was, and I told him what my name was because that's how drunk I was. And then he basically went to the car and ran my name and came back with a warrant. And so down to St. Louis City Jail is where I went. Mm-hmm. So, I'm in the jail there. I'm with, and this is, like I said, I've heard the gospel all my life. It was just one ear, not the other. Too angry, too selfish, too, you name it, prideful to listen, to take it in. So I'm sitting in my cell, and a guy comes in, and he says, "Hi, I'm Gary with biblical, with the prison, the Bible studies here with the prison. And if anyone would like to go down and for a Bible study for an hour, they can come with me, and we'll bring you guys back." So basically, the only reason why I wanted to go was to get out of my cell.
Right.
I wanted to get out of my cell.
Pretty lucrative offer.
Yep. Yes. I was like, an hour out of my cell. Yep. You got it. I'm going. And we got downstairs, and he begins to preach the word. And it's the same message. It's a message I had heard before, from Jerry.
Right.
But this time, as he's speaking to me, I began to feel the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
And I began to feel the guilt and the weight of my sin.
Wow.
And so I began to tear up, and I said, "Is it too late? Can I pray, and can I give God my life?" And he said, "It's never too late." He sat down with me.
Wow.
And we prayed, and he said, "You just basically want to tell the Lord, you want to repent for your sins, and you want to ask the Lord into your heart." And so I said, "Lord, please forgive me for all the sins that I've done in my life. And please, today I want to give you my life. Would you please accept me? And I want to serve you for the rest of my life as my king." And so basically I really felt like I was floating. And now that I've grown a little bit in my faith, I know that was because the weight of the sin had been lifted.
Yes.
The guilt had been lifted.
You were literally born
And so
again.
I felt like I was floating. Yes.
Yes.
And I felt like I was floating back to my cell. I literally felt like I was floating. I do not remember walking back to my cell. But now that, like I said, now that I've grown in my faith a little bit, I understand that more. And so I got back to my cell, and I just remember breaking down. I just cried for, at least an hour, and just read the Bible, and I had my tears all over in the Bible. And
I love that.
Then basically when I was in my cell, I do not want to miss this because this is the most important. When I was in my cell, the Lord basically said to me, I've been looking for you. I've been wanting for you to give me this. So he told me, give me everything. Give me all your problems, all your concerns, give me it all.
Yes.
And so I did. I prayed, and I said, "Lord, I'm an alcoholic, and I can't do this on my own. And I need you to remove this from me," and I begged him. And that moment right there, he spoke to me, and he said, "Consider it done," basically,
Wow.
it's done.
Wow.
And so I got out of jail 2 weeks later. Before I did, there's another part of the story. I got shipped over to Jefferson County, and they would not let me have my Bible in there. So it was kind of like my first test, so to speak.
Right.
I was in there for 2 weeks without a Bible, and it was rough. In there, it was kind of a hell on earth place, because there was people in there that were, addicted to drugs that had just gotten put in there, and there was a lot of screaming, and there was a lot of fighting, and you name it, it was just chaotic.
Right.
Not seen. And so that was a rough 2 weeks. That was the longest 2 weeks of my Christianity to date.
Wow.
Then I was released, and I was able to go to the same church that I grew up in, with a different pastor at that point in time. But the Jerry Norris, like I said, he did make frequent stops in, and I was able to speak with him and tell him that I gave my life to the Lord, and he was excited for me. And then now it's been about 9.5 years, going on 10 years. I haven't had a drink. I would not have been able to do it on my own. It was because of God. The only reason why I don't drink is because of God. It's not because of me.
Wow.
A lot of people don't understand that, but it's the truth.
Yeah, he just instantly delivered you. That's a miracle.
Yes.
Instant.
It is a miracle, because he doesn't always do that.
He doesn't. Yeah, some people, they are saved, but sometimes they have to contend for that healing. They have to contend for that deliverance. And the fact that he just right then and there was like, consider it done. I mean, that's such a blessing. That's so amazing. And also, did you have to go through detox or anything? I mean, there are like people.
Oh, yes. Yes, I did. Luckily my wife's cousin is a nurse. And because when I got out of jail, I had the shakes.
Yeah.
And it was pretty uncontrollable. There was no way I could control it. It looked like I had I just basically was shaking.
Just overcoming the withdrawal of alcohol is amazing in itself, because people that have been drinking for as long as you have could potentially just die from the withdrawal process.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the hospital, that's what they told me. They said, what you're doing is dangerous, and you need to reconsider quitting cold turkey. And the reason why your body's like that is because your body's literally going into shock.
Right.
And so I was just, I was like, I have the God that created the world in my corner. I'm not worried about dying. I'm going home. He's the one that took this. He's the one that's got me. I'm not worried.
I love it.
So good.
I got home, and my wife's cousin Candace, who's a nurse, said, go up to the store, stock up on a bunch of orange juice, and get a bunch of candy, and just keep it around. So we stocked up on orange juice and a bunch of candy, and that's what worked. That's what got me through that with God, help, obviously.
Yeah.
But the thing about it all is after, because he got me through that, and the shakes and everything were gone. The thing about that is when all that settled down, and I realized I had a new life. The thing is my personality that I had grown up with and that I had was through drinking. So my identity was in a bottle, and I realized I was kind of a dull person. So then I had to pray again, and I had to ask the Lord to give me a personality, basically, because I didn't have one. And he did that. He does everything.
Yeah, so many people with addiction can relate to that, because so many people have their identities wrapped up in their addiction and their friends that they had during that addiction. And, is nobody going to like
Absolutely.
me? Or, just the social anxiety that you were covering up with the addiction.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I had to do when I first got out of jail, that I realized it was kind of tough, because a lot of the people that I ran with, I did love and care for, but I had to separate myself from them, and until I was strong enough in my faith to be able to be around them again, which I have since, but and not at first. I had to distance myself till I became stronger.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm sure the dynamic of the relationship has changed anyway, because that saying that it's like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's so true. And I think sometimes we think
absolutely.
that we are stronger than we are, and we think like, I'm going to change them for the better. And it doesn't work that way.
No.
And so
No,
when
it doesn't.
you do need to make those, when you genuinely, like you were at a genuine point of repentance and change. And when you get to that point, you make big changes that actually sting a little bit. But when you're all in, you're all in. And you knew, I'm glad that God gave you that wisdom in those moments, that you knew that you had to change it up or you weren't going to be able to maintain that freedom.
Nope, I sure wouldn't have.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit is been such a blessing, to giving me the guidance that I need, giving me the guilt when I need it, to do the right thing, and
conviction. Yeah.
Yes, it's absolutely. I've missed out on so much of the greatness that God has, in the 34 years that I basically was trying to fill a void. Like I said, you feel like you're missing something, and you're missing the most important thing in your life, the biggest puzzle piece there is, the cornerstone.
Right.
And everybody needs Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. And I love that God promises to restore all the years that the locusts have eaten. And so even people, if you feel like addiction has stolen so much from you in so many years, it's like God can give you all that back and more, because he's just that good and he's just that able.
Oh, he is. Yes.
I love that.
Yes, he is.
So, Shaun, what is the biggest difference between your alcoholism life and the post-alcoholism life?
I would say my love for people.
I love that.
I grew up my whole life angry, so I solved a lot of problems with my hands, so to speak. And I was pretty physical. And I actually, at one point, my brother told me who I thought were my friends were actually hiding from me on the bus. That kind of woke me up a little bit.
Oh, wow.
When you think you had friends, but they're actually hiding from you, yeah, there's some serious issues going on. I was pretty mad.
Yeah.
So, wow. But yeah, we got through it. God had his he had his hands on me and got me through. So
would you say that
thank you, Lord.
Would you say that God really healed you of that anger inside?
That is more of a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think,
totally,
because I'm definitely much cooler headed now than ever, but
right.
I still feel that human, that side of me sometimes wanting to come out, whether I'm on the road or, whatever the case may be, mainly on the road. I don't like driving anymore. I get a little impatient, and then I start to feel the anger, and it's like, okay, hold up. Nope.
Right.
Because the roads out there, I don't know if they've gotten worse or people just, I don't know.
Shaun, now God's going to make you drive everywhere so he can sanctify you more.
He probably is, yeah. You're going to have to learn some patience.
Yeah, I love that, because we are all a work in progress, right? And we all have wounds, and we all have things that God is in the midst of healing. It's a process, right? And so I love that you were so honest and being like, look, there's been a lot of improvement, but I mean, I'm not in heaven yet. God is still working on me, because he's working on all of us. So I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement on that subject area.
Well, I feel you on that. So lastly, okay, what would you say to somebody right now they are just like in the thick of addiction or alcoholism? They just feel like it is a hopeless situation and they don't even know if freedom is really a possibility. What would you say to that person?
I would say that in the Bible, it says that knock on the door and God himself will answer. If you seek him, you will find him.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I totally believe with 100% of my heart that if you give what it is that's bothering you to him, and you sincerely believe it in your heart that he can help you with it, then you can consider that problem solved.
So good. So good.
And that's any problem, that's whether that be addiction or abuse or, you name it. It's he's more powerful than it is. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for letting us pick your brain and ask you all these questions. You have such an amazing story.
It's been a blessing.
Oh, it's awesome. And you have such an amazing story. And this is such a common problem. I mean, alcoholism, I think everyone knows somebody who struggles with alcoholism or they struggle with it themselves. Sure. And so I'm believing that your story is just going to reach multitudes of people and, give them fresh hope. And that's what this show is all about. So thank you again so much.
I pray that it does.
Yes, thank you again.
You guys are doing great things. I appreciate you having me on the show, and it's been a blessing. So thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shaun.
Thank you, Shaun. We really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of our podcast. And our deepest gratitude goes out to our guests for sharing their incredible journey with us. If you're drawn to stories of deliverance, miracles, redemption, and testimonies, then we invite you to be a part of our show here at Clay Podcast. Your story could touch hearts and ignite hope. Join us in spreading faith and inspiration by completing the guest application on our website, www.claypodcastnetwork.com. And as always, a huge thank you for listening. Your support means the world to us. God bless.
We don't need a